So how do I get my trail dog to do what I want him to do and not get in the way and not chase animals and not be silly? Well, this is a bit of a tricky one, but first of all, I learned what I know about communication with animals and having a dog that's domesticated properly and educated on the road rules and whatever. So this is a perfect example. I'm on the road, I haven't given an invite, and he's going to stay there until I invite him across. So no traffic here, which is good, but if there was traffic, you know, there's more influence and more noise and more distraction for him. So it's a good thing to practice it on, you know, in traffic and on quiet roads. Here now. So good boy. So he knows that he doesn't cross the road until he gets an invite. That is the absolute #1 thing to teach your dogs if you're ever going to have your dog off the lead. If your dog doesn't know that the road means bad news and he's only to cross the road with an invite, you're already on the back foot and it's already out. You know, you're putting other road users at a burden. You know, someone driving along, one of their business, your dog runs out and they hit them, they're going to feel terrible about it, and your dog's injured or potentially killed. So now it's not perfect, no, you know, dogs are dogs, but you've got to put in the time and you've got to have a consequence for every time there's non-compliance. So your job as an animal owner, as a pet owner, as a dog owner, is to reward good behaviour, to give the dog what he needs, and to ensure there's a consequence and discipline for poor behaviour or non-compliance of what you want. So in order to get what you want from the dog needs to get what he needs from you, which is walking, fresh water, fresh food all the time, attention, games, toys, rules, learning, you know, educational things, little schoolyard session type stuff. So we're going to head over to the park here. I'll stop the camera now, and once we get into the park I'll show you some other stuff. So the absolute #1 mistake that I see everybody make, which I made as well, you know, before I learned and knew how it all works, and the effect that you have, the run-on effect that your attitude and your energy and your output towards a dog has on their behaviour in the future. Here, Seth. So again, we got a road. He's not going to touch that bitumen until he knows that I'm inviting him across. So right. So off he goes. Now that took time to learn, but the reason he learned it is because I would walk up to a road, I'd come up to the road, I'd stop, and if he didn't stop and he walked across, straight away there'd be a consequence. So I'd just give him a tap like oi to get his attention. You're right, mate, good boy. That gets his attention and he stops and he goes, whoa, what's going on? Back here. And then he gets off the road. You know, he backs up, stands where he needs to stand, and then we go. And then again, set him up for failure, where he just walks along, oh shit, he's on the road. As long as he's not following you onto the road, if you've stopped, you're not on the road, and he goes, bang, there's got to be a consequence every time. If you're at home and you want him to wait at the back door, you don't put physical barriers. You can't be putting physical barriers, because then they know I can only not go in if there's a physical barrier. You want your dog to understand that psychological barriers are the real barriers. So if I say stop and he stops there, I should be able to walk off. You stay there. Now he's making a fool of me. Stay there. It's probably because I'm not making eye contact with him as well, which is definitely a thing. You wait there, please. Manners often helps too. So we're going to cruise over here, and he's just going to sit there like, what the hell? How come I can't come? It's because he knows that there's a stop. Now he's testing it. He's like, oh fuck, don't leave me behind. Righto, come here. He's disappointed. But that's kind of the premise of, if I want to stop, if I want him to stop, I've got to stop him. I've got to say stop. And I've got to hope that, or not hope, I've got to demand compliance. And if there's non-compliance, then I've got to give him a consequence. So let's say I say stop and he just keeps following me. I've got to go back to the spot I was in and say, look, stop man, stay there. and then I'll go, and once I get to where I want to be, then I can invite him across, and when he comes, give him heaps of reward. Oh, good job, man, that was killer, awesome, you are rad. But give him some love. You got to give your dog as much reward as you give him consequence. Now when it comes to being on the trail and seeing animals, you've got to set up, before you even get to that situation where he sees a koala or he sees a kangaroo, you've got to set those situations up. Set it up with cats, with your friend's dog or your friend's cat or whatever. Or just other people in the park. So you're walking along and there's a dog up there and he wants to go. Before he sees the dog, you've got to make sure you're aware of the surroundings as well. Before he sees that dog, you stop him. You say stop, you say sit down, and you make him stay where he is. That dog will come closer, he'll get more excited, and as soon generally you'll have a lead on him because he's young. If he's getting too excited, you just give him a little tap. Say, hey, pay attention. You got to snap him out of because he's getting wound up in, oh, there's a dog there, oh shit, oh, I want to see that dog, I want to see it, oh, he's getting close, oh, this is awesome. Tail's wagging, you go, hey, snap out of it. It's your energy that snaps him out of it. If you're stressing as well, there's a dog coming and my dog's a little bit silly around dogs, you're giving him that energy and he's just going to get crazy and he's going to be hard to control. So you got to be, hey, let's calm, let's chill. Let the dog go back. The more chill you are, the more chill you pass on to your dog. So if you can do that and get your dog chill, he's going to be much more able to control. So dogs have got an energy level 0 to 10. And you want your dog to hover around the 3 to 6. You get to a 7, he's harder to control. Gets to an 8, almost impossible to stop. You can't put a stop on a dog that's already at a 9. So if he's at 9 and he's running and you go stop, if you haven't absolutely wired that stop in with consequence and reward, he ain't gonna stop. There's no way. He's already gone and he's out of the realm of being able to physically consequence him. So he knows you're not gonna hurt me, you're not gonna hit me, you're not gonna kick me, you're not gonna do anything that people do to dogs. Ain't gonna happen because he's already outside of that realm of you can't reach me and I can run faster than you and I'll deal with the consequences later. So the dog's got to know that every time there's non-compliance there's a consequence, and every time there's compliance there's reward. So the reward is daily walks, happiness, good pats. So right now we've got a couple of dogs across the park there. Sev's not on lead, he knows they're there, he's all good. He knows that I don't go and see dogs without an invite. So he's cool, and he's learned that over years. He's almost 9 years old now, so he's got it sus. But his first couple of years, it was me putting in that effort and learning. Now, the best source of information I came across, and I looked and looked and looked. I looked at boxer training forums, breeder forums, dog breeding forums, working dog forums, everything. And the easiest information for me to make sense of and the stuff that worked straight away was Caesar Milan, the dog whisperer. Again, a little bit controversial because some people say he's rough with his dogs or whatever. I don't care about any of that. He ain't rough with his dogs. He can be rough with a dog that's rough with him, which you can question, whatever. But his approach to animal psychology and the ability to communicate with animals and learning those skills of communication, which works across the board, not just for animals, is absolutely the best information I ever came across. And it made working with Sev and making him the perfect dog and the perfect trail dog so easy, so easy. People always praise me about how good a dog he is, and it's not just because I got lucky with a good dog. He's just like any other dog. He's a product of his environment and a product of his education. So Caesar Milan, massive shout out to that dude because he helped me hugely. And I got a wicked dog who's safe, well educated, polite, doesn't do things that he shouldn't be doing. He does everything I want him to do. So training a trail dog, this is just number one. So I'm going to touch on it more, but this is just the basics. I hope I haven't rabbled on too long, but yeah, suss out Caesar Milan, and I'll do a little bit more on this once I've got a little bit more in my head, and we'll make it a little bit more structured.